Hello everyone. I was explaining about you the polymorphism. That means the ability to take more than one form. That polymorphism, also known as dynamic binding. This dynamic binding is your next topic. Dynamic binding is nothing but, before going to dynamic binding, let me brief you about what is binding first. Binding refers to the linking of a procedure call to the code to be executed in response to this particular call. That is what binding. That means in the compile time, a linking has to be done. That is nothing but the object should be called which method, or which method should be called by that particular object, that will be decided in the compile time. That is nothing but compile time polymorphism, or static polymorphism, static binding we can say. And this dynamic binding is nothing but, it is also a linking of a procedure call to the code, but at runtime. That is nothing but, not in the compile time, we are linking that procedure call, linking that object call to that particular method in your code, in your program. We are deciding which method to be executed by that object at runtime. That is what dynamic binding, or late binding, or we can say runtime polymorphism. Okay, the next is message communication. Message communication. Message communication, that is nothing but, an object-oriented program consists of a set of objects that communicate with each other. And in the process of message communication, or the process of programming in object-oriented, takes the following steps for message communication. That is, creating classes that define objects and their behavior, creating objects from class definitions, establishing communication among objects. That is nothing but, first we have to create the class, then define its objects, then their behavior. That is nothing but, we have to create a class like class A, class A, then define the object. That is how to define the object: A object equal to new, then A. That is creating or defining object, then behavior, writing in the class, behavior. That is methods or tasks which are performed by that particular object. That is nothing but behavior. That is what methods we have to write. Then creating objects from class definitions. That is what, creating objects from this class obj, new constructor A. That is nothing but, this is the name of the class, name of the object, new operator, and constructor. That is what, it is the name of the class, object name. New operator is used to allocate the memory space for this object, and this constructor shows the implementation part of this object. And whenever object 1 wants to communicate with object 2, that means it must follow this procedure. That is, employee dot salary in bracket name as an argument. That is, employee is an object, salary is a message, name is the information. Based on the argument you pass to this particular method, particular function of this employee object, it will be performing some operation here. It will be putting that result as a message back to this object, and it will be stored in a memory location. That is what message communication between two objects. So This is about the basic concepts of object-oriented programming languages. So if you have any doubts, please do ask your queries. Thank you very much.